Hi Scrappers, Tom from the iScrap app. Today is Wednesday, July 24th, 2019. We hope that everyone is doing well, enjoying some of these price increases that we're going to talk about. Don't forget to become a supporter on our Patreon page, where we have been continuing to post more prices, more updates, and different pieces of tips that we don't otherwise post that are kind of a little more fine-tuned that we're working on. So make sure you click on the link and you'll be able to become a supporter. You'll be able to get first-hand tips, price increases, and things quicker than you might be able to in some other avenues. Now, of course, we like to do our report live every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you are tuning into our live feed right now, feel free to ask questions. If you're watching this after the fact, feel free to ask those same questions, and we'll get back to you the next day or two if some of your fellow scrappers don't do so already. Now, we do have a little bit of unfortunate and sad news. We're members in multiple different scrapping communities online, and we saw that in one of the other scrap forums or groups on Facebook that a couple of its members passed away that were very large contributors, given their information, given their knowledge. So we'd like to wish Jeff and David's family nothing but our thoughts and prayers, and we're so sorry. We loved watching the videos and learning about things that you were doing. So if any of you are members in both spots, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you aren't, it looked like Jeff and his friends were really doing great things and learning about scrap and teaching others about scrap. So our hearts and prayers go out to your two families. So what we want to talk about ranges from steel to gold to aluminum to a whole mix of everything today. So if you have anything specifically you want us to talk about, feel free to post below and we'll talk about it. But what we want to lead off with today is the scrap steel prices. Now, in the last week, we've seen the scrap light iron prices starting to climb. We've seen prices $55, $75, $85, $106 per ton, but we have seen those prices going up $3 to $5 per ton over the last 2 weeks in a steady manner. Now, what we've tried to do in the last few weeks is talk to people about the steel and the ferrous and iron market, because that seems to be one of the overwhelming questions outside of copper that we get asked all the time. Now, we have seen some increases in the last few days, in the last week or so, and it does seem to have some $10 to $20 per ton increases coming in the month of August. Now, of course, we're not a genie and we don't have a magic lamp or a magic ball that we can look into, but what we get our information and knowledge from is demand from the mills. That demand from the mills gets pushed to the traders gets pushed to the larger consumer scrap yards, and those are some of the people that we talk to: the mills, the traders, and the larger yards, and the trickle-down effect to our yards like ours. So that's where we pull our information. It seems like the demand is starting to be there and supply is starting to skirt down. One of the things that does happen during the summer is a lot of these mills and furnaces in the US and the world, they do partially shut down due to the overwhelming heat and repairs going on to their systems. So don't be surprised if those things happen. It's very, very common. Now, overall, we've been watching the steel markets, and like we said, the prices are up. We saw some grades of heavier steel jumping about $5 a ton. Number one prepared prices, we saw anywhere from $105 to $185 per ton. We only saw one number jump over $200, but that was for cast rotors, for scrap steel rotors and rims, so that's a more of a specialty item that isn't an everyday find. Overall, the steel market seems to finally be improving, so we're going to have to watch that and hope, that we see it continue to climb. Now, on that note, let's pop into the non-ferrous side of things. A week from today, give or take a day, the US and the Chinese will resume in-person negotiations on a trade and tariff agreement. This is good news. After the June 20th meeting between Xi Jinping and President Trump, they said that they were going to reopen dialogue, and here it is finally happening. Of course, there's been correspondence going on over the last month, but nothing that we've really talked about because there hasn't been any large piece of news. Face-to-face meetings, those are the ones that we want to see. Face-to-face meetings means that emails and dialogue and correspondence has been going back and forth. They've probably agreed on some more things, enough to be able to sit down with each other and try to hash some things out in a different way. Our opinion is a deal will not come in the next week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks. It'll probably be a few months from now, but in-person meetings are good news, especially after the bad news that we've seen over the last 3 months. Now, while we're talking about non-ferrous and we're talking about the trade and the different agreements going on, let's talk about copper prices. Now, last Friday, we saw a 9-cent per pound temporary increase in copper. Why that happened and why you didn't see it at your scrapyard is what we'll talk about next. Now, Bear Bright we've seen reported anywhere from $1.77 up to $2.38 per pound. Prices varying in between. Now, the 9 cents that we saw last week, we were hoping was going to be a price that stood still and was able to kind of reset the bar from the hovering point that we've been at. But it was a reaction, a knee-jerk reaction to the Federal Reserve saying that they were going to be cutting interest rates at the end of July, or allegedly cutting interest rates. It was one of those secrets that's not really secret. The entire stock market reacted, and that was part of the reason that copper jumped. And over the last 3 trading sessions, we've seen those prices go back to where they started at. Maybe up a penny, but that's nothing to talk about, as copper generally will trade 1 to 3 cents per pound up or down daily. What we like is stability. Large jumps like that will never trigger your scrapyard to pay more money, but it is things that we look at the iScrap app so we can share that information with you. And if you were a supporter on Patreon, you would have gotten some of the information last Friday as it was happening, and then again over the weekend and Monday to give you a little more information on it. So copper has gone back down, and like we said, Bear Bright 177 up to 238. We've seen number 2 tubing coming in around 182, 176, 197 per pound. Yellow brass we've seen reported anywhere from 105 up to $1.31 per pound. Aluminum prices are starting to gain a small comeback, nothing to write home about, but the stainless steel prices have gained about 2.5 cents a pound to average around 27 cents per pound for 304 stainless across the US and Canada, and these are in US dollars. Nickel prices have gone to about 1-year highs with multiple increases in different trading sessions, and we've seen the nickel supply at the different London Metal Exchange numbers decreasing over the last few months. With these numbers going down and the supply really being at a bit of a standstill, we've seen those prices increasing, which is a great thing for you, the scrapper. Now, if you're saving your material hoping that a trade agreement comes, as many people have said that they are, you should continue to save, because these markets are not going to change drastically in any way, shape, or form for the next few months. We believe that they are at a very level and steady playing field, and this is what you should expect for a while. You should expect to see your scrapyards continuing to crack down on the insulated copper wire prices as it's becoming more and more difficult to sell these items. And you should continue to expect to see different prices varying in large jumps coming both up and down, but they don't seem to really be sticking or having any real tread. Gold prices have remained over $1,400, recently around $1,425 per ounce. Electronic scrap has been increasing, but because the export market to China has been faltering, it's been a little difficult to see some positive prices. Although we have seen some reported prices on hard drives between 25, 28, 32, and 47 cents per pound. These were hard drives with the board attached. Guys, this is Tom from the iScrap app. Please become a supporter on our Patreon page, which we'll link below, where you'll be able to get more tips, more tricks, more advice, and more prices on what's going on inside of the scrap market, different ideas, and tell us what you're looking for, and we'll make sure to get you those answers. Today is Wednesday, July 24th, 2019. Until next week, I'll scrap you later.